Sunday Roundtable is ready to go, and as you can see, joining us this morning, Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh and Republican political analyst Rob Gray. Great to see you guys.
All right, former President Donald Trump, his hush money trial resumes in New York tomorrow. Trump is required to be in the courtroom, admonished by the judge for his behavior during jury selection, challenging the gag order. The reality of the trial has hit. He has shown his ability to control the narrative. Is that about to become a whole lot harder, Marianne?
Well, the very thing that resurrected his political career after January 6th and delivered the nomination to him, all of these cases, all of these trials, is going to be the death knell for him in the general election. And you can see it in the polling already now that people are starting to pay attention to the cases, to the campaign more. 64% of registered voters in this country on this case alone said this would affect the way I would vote. More than half of them think it's a really serious issue. And then when you go to all the cases, 70% say this is a factor in my voting, and half of them say this is really, really serious. So it's not he's used it to do campaign events and stuff, but it's not the silver bullet he thinks it is. It really hurts him in November.
What do you think, Rob?
I mean, man, I think it's a spectacle. It's like a pro wrestling match or the OJ trial practically, and all the focus on it. And all that frenzy, I disagree. I actually think it helps Trump because these charges, there's a lot of serious cases against him that he should answer for, January 6th and other things. But when you have a DA with a political agenda going off of after him on something that's already baked in, nobody cares about the hush money. I think it helps Trump deflect from the more serious charges.
The falsifying business record aspect of it doesn't move your needle.
I mean, listen, people knew Donald Trump played loose and fast when they elected him. He was always borrowing money. His casinos were going bankrupt. It's baked in. I think it drives voters towards Trump because they think he's being persecuted by the media.
Not the voters he needs, or anyone needs to win. Independent voters, no. Women voters, no. Suburban voters, no. That's the ball game.
All right, next item, the Kennedy family. Members of the Kennedy family rallying around President Biden. Not RFK Jr., Democrats doing their best to blunt Kennedy's third-party run. Last week's event highlighting concerns about RFK Jr.'s potential impact on the race. But for the independent candidate, is it a case of any publicity is good publicity, Rob?
I think it helps RFK. I think the White House is overreacting on this. They are very nervous because the margins are so slim in battleground states. If you look at the national polls and it put RFK in a three-way race, Trump is about +3 points. So the White House is trying to get ahead of it. It comes down to ballot access. Will RFK get on the ballot in these battleground states or not? If he doesn't get on, then it doesn't impact the election that much. If he does, it could help Trump.
He got on Michigan.
He's on Michigan. I mean, the Kennedy family is famously known for their family loyalty. And when Arnold Schwarzenegger married Maria Shriver and ran as governor as a Republican, it was the all hands on deck, right? So there's two steps to this. The first is disqualifying. All the Kennedy kids say, if we're not voting for Bobby, you shouldn't vote for him either, right? To put it over here. Then you've got to persuade them to not vote for Trump or someone else, but to vote for Biden. And Kerry Kennedy rightfully said in the entire event last week, which was cloaked in the politics of it, a vote for Bobby Kennedy or anybody else is a vote for Trump. So it's a two-step process, but that spoke volumes that they all stood up there and did that.
All right, and 6 months ahead of the election, more than 6 months ahead. A historic moment on Capitol Hill last week that really didn't amount to much. House Republicans delivered articles of impeachment against the Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas. The Senate quickly dismissed the charges. Now, Congress consistently ranks rock bottom in opinion polls, so why do we keep seeing this type of behavior, Marianne?
Well, it's about power. Right? They're trying to tear down our democracy by tearing down institutions and using things like impeachment and everything else to do it. So they can install a dictatorship, and that would be the end of our democracy. The other thing they're doing at the same time is trying to muddy the waters by using words and processes like impeachment and everything else to have people think like, well, if they're saying it, that we're saying it, what does it really mean? It doesn't really matter. It's like the kids game when you were little saying, I'm rubber, you're glue, if it's a review, right? No, it doesn't work that way. But they're very effective at it. And that's what they're trying to do. And they've had some success because a lot of voters could say, you know what, I'm not going to vote. They're both bad. But the MAGA folks, this is like gasoline and a match to it because they will turn out and they will commit violence if they're asked.
What do you think, Rob?
I think it hurt Republicans this week. They look bad. It was a bad move. It was an overreach. Republicans should be winning on illegal immigration. by overreaching and going for impeachment against a cabinet secretary. Most people think that's unfair in the middle, and Republicans lost on an issue they should win.
A little interesting kerfuffle here in New England. Up in New Hampshire, Kelly Ayotte continues to throw rocks at Massachusetts in her run for governor. The former Republican U.S. Senator accused Governor Maura Healey of being soft on crime after a Massachusetts man was arrested in connection with the armed robbery of a Nashua postal worker. Good politics? Cheap shot? Both, Marianne?
Cheap politics.
Cheap politics.
Let's go back to 2017 when Chris Sununu, the governor of New Hampshire, did this very same thing to our friend Dan Rivera, the mayor of Lawrence, and said Lawrence was the pipeline for opioids. Really? First of all, New Hampshire is one of the safest states in the country. The majority of their crimes are committed by people who live in New Hampshire. And by the way, all these years later, 7 years later, opioids are still a problem. And Kelly Ayotte now is running. New Hampshire is going to become Massachusetts. I want to keep you safe. In her bio, I was a murder prosecutor. So it's fear and loathing, and look how well that worked out for Chris Sununu.
Rob?
Well, he's still the governor.
Barely.
So it worked out
We'll
pretty
talk
well.
about that later.
So I think it is smart politics. I love a good border war, right? I mean, this is fun. So yeah, Kelly Ayotte, she's right. And you know what? Probably about a third of the voters or their family members' offspring that she needs fled Massachusetts. So it's good politics.